Check, check, check.
Check, check.
Check, check, check.
Check, check. Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're just about to get started with this week's episode. Less than 10 minutes left. While you got a couple of minutes here, why don't you go check out otheanthem.com. It's where you can find everything Oh The Anthem, including the merch store, the podcast, and all of the videos. Open up a new tab.
Anchor.fm/Oh The Anthem is the place where you can get direct links to all the podcatchers you use to listen to our show every week.
Did you know we record every episode live on Facebook? Of course you do. But make sure that you're liking the page and turning on notifications so you get notified when we go live.
We make a ton of video content between the podcast, the short films, Heretics. YouTube.com/Oh The Anthem is the place for it all.
And of course you can find me on any social network at Robert N. Cheek.
And me at LegendCB5.
And you can find the podcast at Oh The Anthem on all your social networks.
Here we are again. This is Corey, and this is the The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 369 of the Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice, the easiest way, anchor.fm/Oh The Anthem.
And of course, we are joined by producer Roberto, who is on the ones and twos, as it were. And of course, producer Brooks is here as well because he's a refugee, and his mother refuses to stand up for him and fight.
He just licked my leg. Support.
So we have a lot to get to, but we are going to try. We're going to try. We're making our efforts to make this a 1 hour show, which is what it's supposed to be. So let's say hour, 10 minutes. I think we can get an hour and 10 minutes. Right off the bat.
It depends on how many sidetracks we go off on, too. So...
Well, and I was going to say, much like we're going to plan for a $600 billion plan and $4 trillion. That's how that's going to end up. But really, I ask you, Corey, what is $4 trillion between friends?
I mean, you know, $4 trillion isn't quite the same as it used to be, if you will. So
that's also true. Yeah. Back in my day, when you wanted $4 trillion, you had to really work for it.
$4 trillion, you might as well sell the moon.
Actually, I think we got to the moon for less than $4 trillion. So
that was an expression I used to hear.
From who?
Sell the moon. What?
From who?
There was somebody I knew who used.
I was gonna say, was that a Bill Baker? Because I feel like
no,
that would be a
wasn't.
Denzel Cheek. That's a Denzel Cheek if I've ever heard one.
It wasn't my dad. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah. But yes, $4 trillion doesn't get you as far as it might have in the past. What it does get you is some jobs, some programs for kids, a revamp of the IRS, and I'm going to suggest to everyone in Congress, if there's one place you can cut, let's cut right there. We don't need the IRS at all. I think we just cut their budget completely.
Why don't we put some of this investment into sovereign citizenship?
I am down for that. Yeah, a couple of laws on sovereign citizenship, and we're all good. But we are going to invest in roads and bridges. We are going to invest in buildings and other infrastructure. This is the portion of the Green New Deal that's actually going to get done, if anything's going to get done. And preschool, universal preschool for all kids in the United States, which is unbelievably progressive. And a lot of other programs. Kind of, I guess, it's a all-encompassing bill with a lot of things in it, much akin to, even though we are avoiding talking about it as the New Deal. It's the New Deal. It's jobs and infrastructure and taking care of people. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just a quick list here. We have fix highways, rebuild bridges, upgrade ports, airports, transit systems. Deliver clean drinking water, a renewed electric grid, and high-speed broadband to all Americans. Build, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million homes and commercial buildings. Modernize our nation's schools and child care facilities and upgrade veterans hospitals and federal buildings. Solidify the infrastructure of our career economy by creating jobs and raising wages and benefits for the essential home care workers. I'm getting this from the White House, by the way, in case you're wondering why it has this smile on its face as it's saying all these things.
Yes. Yeah.
Revitalize manufacturing and secure U.S. supply chains, invest in research and development, and train Americans for jobs of the future. Create good quality jobs that pay prevailing wages and safe and healthy workplaces while ensuring workers have a free and fair choice to organize, join a union, and bargain collectively with their employees.
So I want to point out one very important thing. We asked maybe 3 weeks ago for the U.S. to start nation building here in the U.S. And I am so glad that somebody in the administration is listening to the show and they are saying, you know what? Yes, we should start nation building. Because basically what they've described is what the military budget has been spent on for the last, 2 decades in other countries.
Building roads, bridges, and hospitals and...
Basically just building up a country and investing in the children and the education of the children of the country and in technology and in just infrastructure in general. I know we think of roads and bridges, but it's that and more. Electrical grids and, gas. Texans who may have had a problem over this last year would be, oh, wait, no, you guys don't get the money because you're not on the federal grid.
Well, and broadband in general. I mean, like that's a huge thing as far as connecting parts of this country that are not as connected. If you live in New York or Los Angeles, you have a very different interpretation of the access of internet that people who are in the middle of Iowa do not have the same sort of.
If you live in parts of New York or Los Angeles, because I can tell you that there are some neighborhoods in, I don't know, Brooklyn, Queens, not the ones you're thinking about. The ones that have been gentrified recently, super high-speed internet. The ones that aren't gentrified yet, the ones that some hipsters would refer to as not yet gentrified.
Yeah.
They don't have such great access to internet. So it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. When you treat something like it's not, or when it's a commodity and not a utility, commodity, not utility, it causes a problem. If we said, hey, electricity should just basically be made available in the way that the electric company can make the most money, those areas also would not have electricity. Gas, same way. The government has to get involved and say, no. Everyone needs equal access to these things because that's how you have a society. And now we're finally doing, even though we're not making broadband a utility, what we're doing is saying, hey, guys, we would like to pay you to produce your business somewhere, which it occurs to me when a government invests heavily in the private sector and then has the private sector do their work. There's a word for that. I can't put my finger on it. They do it in Denmark and Sweden a lot.
Public-private partnerships?
Yeah. What's the, there's another word. It starts with an S.
Socialism?
Socialism. Yeah, it's socialism. Yeah. So now that I've put that out there, none of this is getting passed. And I just
Ted Cruz is like, what?
He just woke up. Yeah, it's unfortunate. So
to be fair, everything is socialism to Ted Cruz. So
that's also true. Yeah. Except for lifting yourself up by your bootstraps, or being Cuban and somehow American and Canadian at the same time. I don't know how that works. But so the funny thing is, I love reading polling on this where they would say, yes, what we did is we asked people about individual aspects of the program amongst other questions.
Yeah.
And universally, everyone supported a majority of the aspects of this. Now, people like Corey, when he hears Amtrak, not for it. Don't want to talk about it. But broadband for everybody? Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, all these things individually have 70, 80% favorability.
Yes. And at the
If not
budget
more.
rates,
Yeah.
at the budget rates, if you said $600 billion for roads, people are like, well, yeah, I heard it was a D. Yeah, absolutely. We need to spend a lot of money. And what about, 3 questions later, what about $200 billion to get broadband to everyone? Well, we're in New York, but I come from a very small town in Missouri, and they don't have broadband access. So I can see why that kind of investment would be very important.
Yeah.
And a few questions later, but whatever. And then you ask somebody like, okay, so you are for all of these things. What if I told you there was a bill that would accomplish all of these things? Well, slow your roll now, because
what's the cost of this thing?
I feel like there would be a lot of pork in that bill. Well, there's going to be pork in the individual bills as well. Let's forget about that.
Yeah.
Also, what's the cost of that thing? $4 trillion. Absolutely not. You at $600 billion and $200 billion and $900 billion, you're fine with that. But when we talk about $4 trillion, now it's a big deal.
Just like when you go to the grocery store and you have yourself a list, you have yourself a budget, and then all of a sudden you see oatmeal cream pies, and you're like, they're only $2. How much? Like I can afford this. I can swing it. Then all of a sudden you go down the soup aisle, and you're just like, it's been a while since I've had a New England clam chowder. Then all of a sudden you show up at the register, and
the total is $470.
Well, I had a strict $200 budget, and I blew right past it.
$200 in oatmeal cream pies and clam chowder. That's
I have a weird life, a weird diet.
But yeah, I think that is basically how this is. And there will eventually, I think also part of this is Biden has finally learned the lesson we've been saying for a while now, which is start asking for way more than you think you actually get. Because if Nancy Pelosi had put forward this bill, the bill would have been for $1.6 trillion, and we would have gotten $600 billion. That would have been it.
Yeah.
Biden's like, dick on the table, $4 trillion, done. And Mitch McConnell comes out and he's like, we'll give you $200 billion. And then some Republican was like, Mitch, sit down. Let me handle this. And their starting position was $1.4 trillion. So now we're negotiating between $1.4 trillion and $4.
Yeah.
We're going to end up probably somewhere at like 2.6. And mostly what's going to get cut out of that is probably the important stuff like preschool for kids and food stamps and things that would really help people, but the Democratic program.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is basically split into two sides, which is like sort of the infrastructure side and sort of the infrastructure of the American dream side, if you will, which is like family planning and like making permanent the new child tax credits that are available.
Oh, that's going to pass. I don't know if you know. Republicans love their tax credits, so it doesn't matter.
But I mean, my concern, and this is again, I'm not disputing the fact that we need immediate money into a lot of infrastructure in this country, and on the broad strokes, I don't think that the idea of this bill is bad or that there are things that are wrong with it. My point that I'd like to make is that merely we are going to find ourselves. We are sort of at the beginning of the end of this generation of, car travel and like what this current iteration of, travel in this country is going to look like. And we're going to have to focus more on what the next thing is as opposed to.
I am happy to make your argument from our pre-show meeting. Where is the money for the Jetsons car air traffic controllers? I want to see money for Jetsons cars air traffic controllers. If it's not there, then this bill does not have my support. That was Corey's argument in the pre-show meeting. That's of course not the argument. Although the Jetsons car part of it was brought up.
It was brought up. I'm just saying.
But what you said was, let's get a panel of experts together and figure out what transportation is going to look like in 25 years and start building towards that. To which I responded, all of those experts have gotten together over the last 60 years. And they've said, this is what it looked like for the last 60 and what it'll look like for the next 60. And universally, they have said, everyone in the world has done the right thing. Local rail leading to regional rail, leading to national rail is the way of the future. High speed, not fucking, light rail at Baltimore City. But
so, one of the things that has always irritated me in recent years about the state of traffic, especially here in LA, where it's a huge problem, is that for the better part of about a decade now, Google has been offering cities and municipalities access to sort of the back end of Google Maps data, anonymized data about traffic in your town, where people drive, what hours they drive. It's a unparalleled look at what is happening in your city from a traffic perspective. I know for a fact that LA was reached out to be able to use this information at no cost to better their own infrastructure as far as traffic is concerned. And they've had zero interest in doing so. This is the type of thing that it looks like it's we're going to build and rebuild bridges and highways and all this sort of stuff. And that's important. But I feel like understanding how we get to the point where the traffic is what it is to begin with is an important step in being able to come up with a solution that will not only fix the roads and bridges, but also get to us to the place we're going to need to be in the future anywho.
What if I told you, with trains, we could take cars off the road and then none of that would be necessary?
I just don't have the trust that that's the way it's going to work.
I understand
that's
completely.
the problem.
You are standing there saying, I've been burned by the U.S. Postal Service before, so I don't know that I can put my trust in them anymore. A stamp used to be 25 cents. Now it takes me 55 cents to get my letter from a unique address in Los Angeles to a unique address in rural Maryland. And it would cost the same 55 cents to get it from a rural address in Minneapolis, Minnesota to a rural address in Louisiana. And I burned by that cost increase.
No, I'm burned by the fact that that Amtrak takes longer than flights or cars do and costs more than flights or cars do.
Both of which are subsidized by the American people in a way that is hidden rather than being just the budget of that service.
I get it, but I'm saying, high-speed rail, again, in theory, sounds wonderful. Improvements to Amtrak and the rail line systems that we have in this country, in theory, sound wonderful. But I have not been able to ever at any point been given the assurances that Amtrak is committed to being the best service they could possibly be. It's like when they poll people about like what companies they hate the most, and it's like Comcast is always at the top of the list and things like that.
That's why they're Xfinity now.
It's because Comcast does the bare minimum that is required of them to stay a company, to keep the thing working, and will do absolutely no more.
Yeah.
Amtrak is not reaching for is not following the hat over the wall of space, They're literally just looking at the wall going like, well, this will take forever to get around. Like there's no for 50 years Amtrak has been where all the fuck up cousins of the married executives of congressmen go. It's like the worst fuck ups in the history of the world run Amtrak and then run it into the ground. And now we're expected to think that we're going to go into this brand new era of Amtrak where they fucking figured it all out. And I just don't believe it.
See, I think that you are looking at Amtrak the way that someday, eventually, producer Roberto is going to look at his then ex-girlfriend. You're looking at it like, what is this? I don't understand. And if you just thought to yourself, how did you treat that thing for the last few years? Of course it's in that condition. Of course it hates you back because you've hated it. And it's just been taught. That was just a chance to take a barb at Roberto. But no, I mean, listen, we've dumped the worst of the worst there. We've cut budgets. We've said no passenger rail lines. You have to share the commercial rail lines. And every other country has said, that's the wrong way to do it. We're going to do it the right way, and been very successful.
Yeah.
And that is a lot like me saying, producer Roberto, look at the way that I treat women. Isn't that so great? As I
maybe that's not the example.
I go to sleep alone in my apartment every single night. So yeah, possibly not the greatest. Listen, I got great ideas. Whether or not they work is not important. But yeah, so I think that, and I don't want to get bogged down in Amtrak because there's so much more.
Just like the people of Amtrak are just like, we have great ideas, and then you look at their piece of paper and it's just like a conductor with skates on.
See,
this will help.
I fully believe that the actual people who work for Amtrak are revolution. They have a revolution coming, and then there is nothing but Bill Clinton's brother-in-law or brother is put in charge of Amtrak, and he's like, you know what we need? Beer in every car. Beer in every car. And those quiet cars, let's get rid of those. We need to make friends on the fucking Amtrak. And those guys are like, that's the opposite of what the people want. They want all quiet cars. And we
have you ever noticed how there aren't enough Hooters on these trains? We should have a Hooters car. Everyone loves Hooters. The wings are great, amongst other things.
It took me about your third mention of Hooters for me to realize you were talking about the restaurant and not.
I know. That's why I kept going, because I realized I might have led you astray with that.
I almost spit my drink all over the mic. And the board and the computer would have been horrible. But yes, those are the ideas. There's a guy who is a lot like Billy Bush. Not Billy Bush. Damn. Not Bill Clinton. That's the guy.
Roger Clinton.
Roger Clinton. Who is there with like these brilliant ideas and like the Postal Service, where it's been the dumping ground of leadership that's not leadership, saying like, what if we took out the old machines? Well, no, that is a great idea. We're going to replace them with the. Don't worry about that. Just take out the old ones. Like, yeah, but that's going to make service incredibly slow. We're not going to be able to meet demand. No, take the old ones out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Got to get those old machines out of there. Okay, you're the boss. Yeah. And that's the worst of the commercial market meeting the socialist market, not the other way around, where, hey, trains are great. Let's dump some money in here and let the best of the best, which is what NASA is, for the most part, except for not anymore, because now we're looking at apartheid space.
Yeah.
Elon Musk. Dragons.
Everywhere it's got to come. All roads lead back to Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, speaking of apartheid, the new GOP, it turns out, is just the GOP. And you might say to yourself, Rob, that was a cheap shot. Have you been anywhere in the middle or south of our country? It's basically apartheid. Anyway, so I think that we have talked in the last few weeks and months of the podcast about like this possible coming schism in the GOP, and it seems this past week it has become even more prevalent. And hopefully the image that you're seeing next to me is an ostrich with its head in the sand. And that has been the GOP of the end of the Trump era. And essentially, like, that was just like, listen, whatever it takes to win. War crimes? Sure. Yeah. Actual crime? Insurrection? Yeah, it's probably fine. It's okay.
I mean, as long as it's not too treasonous.
Wait. What color are the people? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's mostly fine.
That'll wash.
Yeah. Then they just basically go along to get along.
Yeah.
And then we heard a lot of strong words from Mitch McConnell and Republican leadership at basically all levels, state, federal, in the House and in the Senate. And then we've slowly moved back where it's like, oh, wait, no, he still has influence. So McCarthy's been going to Florida to do his mea culpas and his kiss the rings in Mar-a-Lago. And Mitch McConnell, who came out real hot and heavy at the end, haven't heard a lot of that since then. And in fact, now he's saying stuff like $200 billion, and then the rest of the Republicans in the Senate are like, Mitch, why don't you sit down?
We'll handle this one, Mitch.
Also, I have a sense that they think they're going to get back in the majority, and they're putting in a play. Like, there's a couple of Republicans who are like, I bet you I could win a vote for
majority leader. Yeah.
And I need to be in the position of power of like being a leader now. So Mitch is at the weakest point he's ever been, and also there are people who are coming up with the knives, trying to make Caesar dressing. You know what I mean? So,
it's as much as I am not in favor of Mitch McConnell, generally speaking, I will say that if I was a member of this Republican Party, Mitch has done so well for you in terms of what you want. I don't know why you're looking effectively one of the best Republican senators as far as getting what he wanted done in the history of the Senate. Like, there's nobody like from a purely partisan standpoint, there has been very few people who are as successful as Mitch McConnell has been.
Here's the problem
for a long period of time.
Here's the problem, and you're not going to get this example, but I hope that the public at large will. You know, people who know things from movies. But the Republicans are essentially the Sith, and they raise up a leader who is strong and gets almost everything that they want. And what happens to his mentee, the person who he's bringing up behind him?
Die.
It is always that the Sith Lord, the one who's leading the Sith, is struck down by his disciple.
Yeah.
And that's the GOP. They're like, Mitch, you're so amazing. You've led us so well. And he turns around to take in some of the accolades, and somebody stabs him in the back and is like, I am now the Lord of the GOP.
I am now McConnell.
And meanwhile, you have to cross universes. What's his name in Wisconsin? Like, my precious. Just waiting for his chance to get back in the limelight. And
talking about Paul Ryan?
Yeah, I was going to say, my precious, but really it's just weights. He's just looking at his own muscles. Like, precious.
Poor Paul Ryan's done. There's no coming back from that.
I don't know, though. Because if we end up getting that schism, I feel like, surprisingly, Ryan might have a chance in the old guard conservative GOP. Because he's McConnell, he is Romney, he is Cheney, he is old guard GOP.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the old guard GOP is long for this world. So, I mean, we just going back on the last couple people who either ran for president or were involved with a person who is in the executive here.
Yes.
We have Mitt Romney, who was booed by the Utah GOP.
Also famously,
almost censured.
Yeah, almost censured by his own state.
Yeah.
Famously the candidate in 2012 and 2008.
Yeah.
Yes.
He got the nomination in 12, but ran in 2008 as well.
Yes.
2008, McCain ran.
That's
now,
right.
McCain is no longer with us, but his widow Cindy was on State of the Union, I think, the other day, and said that the Arizona GOP has gone completely crazy.
Also, isn't his daughter in politics now?
Isn't she host of The View or something like that?
Oh, that's right. She's a political commentator.
Yeah.
Is it her husband? Somebody related to the McCains is in Arizona politics and almost got booted from the party as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Liz Cheney, who is related to Dick Cheney.
now, as a reminder, he vice president from 2000 until 2008.
She's probably going to get booted out of all the leadership positions in the Republican House. And it's looking like a lot of people are going to primary her when it's her turn again.
And her replacement is in the leadership, not in the primaries, but her replacement in leadership is the Trumpiest of Trumpers.
Yeah.
And a guy who I can't remember his name right now, but 4 years ago was not a Trumper, but has basically like seen the writing on the wall that that's where the party's going and went there first. He did the old, who was the senator who was also like the first one to stand up on the 6th, Josh
Hawley.
Yes, who's just like, I see where this is going. I'm gonna get in front of this. This guy is the same way, where he's like, oh, Cheney's looking a little weak. I feel like I can make moves on that.
Even George W. Bush, though, just in the last couple of days, had the statement that was, if you focus on just becoming a party of white evangelicals, then you are winnowing down the potential number of votes that you'll get, and you're going to hurt yourself in the end.
Yes.
To which the Republican Party of today is just like, fuck you, W. We don't give a shit about what you have to say. Meanwhile, last Republican to win a popular election.
Yep.
Win the popular vote. He lost it once too, but he's also the the most recent one to win it.
To be clear, lost it in 2000, won it in 2004.
Yeah.
Obama won it in 2008. Won it again in 2012. Hillary won it in 2016.
Yep.
And then Biden won it in 2020. So, yes, that would be the last Republican. And if you remember, Corey, what was his... Now, not so much in 2004, but in 2000 especially. Compassionate conservatism. Reaching out to Latinos in Texas. Very much making the grand old party the big tent party and bringing everybody in.
Well, once they lost to Obama, they had the reset where they said, okay, what is wrong with this party and how do we fix it? And one of the things that they said was when part of the success that Bush had was he was able to open up the walls to the GOP a lot more than anyone else had before. Like you said, Latino vote for Republicans was an all-time high at that point.
Yep.
Even the black vote, which had traditionally been overwhelmingly Democratic, was starting to look like it might siphon off a little bit into Republican votes.
Still was, but they'd broken 10%, which was amazing for a Republican vote nationally. Like, okay, great.
It was the beginning of something that could have had long-term dividends if they had kept with it.
If the Democrats break 10% with evangelical Christians, best believe that you're going to see candidates on Sunday morning
Reagan-like sweep.
Yeah, you're just like, all right, so what do we do next? What mega churches can we hit? It's like, how can we take advantage? Yeah, but it's only 11%. We haven't done 11% since evangelical Christians were progressive agrarian folk. That's where the last time that happened. So, yeah, you got to take advantage. And instead what happened was the Koch brothers gave Ted Cruz a drink order, and then they were like, oh, sorry. And Ted Cruz became white, and then the whole party went white. And Ted Cruz is only Hispanic when he's in Texas, and specifically only in his district, and not in his own house when he's out getting votes in his district. Yeah. Otherwise, white. That's what he would prefer. So,
I just don't understand. Like, I understand that for whatever reason in the minds of the GOP, they think that Trump again in 2024 is the path to winning or getting like the same kind of excitement that they had before.
Yeah.
I think we'll know with the next congressional election where we stand, because if you just look at the number of votes that will be going to what we assume will be Republican strongholds, based off of the results of the census, it looks like the Republicans, without having to do anything else, might pick up, 6 or 7 seats.
I saw some interesting math on that, though.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, where it actually ends up. If the Democrats, despite having the disadvantage put on them for this coming congressional election, still manage to keep the House, that might be, depending on how it shakes, might be the thing that wakes up Republicans to the idea that we have to do something here, because if you can't get your house in order and then you get slaughtered by a Democrat in Texas, something's wrong. You gotta go back and figure out what went wrong and fix it, because
So one of the things I saw was that, like, in New York, this may actually be helpful that they lost a seat, because they're going to do what Maryland did several years ago, where they're just going to stick all the Republicans in, like, limited districts. And like, they've had a problem with too many Republicans, and they're like, oh, so we can't make the districts the way we want to make them. And Maryland found a way. They gerrymandered a district that was basically all Republicans and stuck them all in there. Texas has the opposite problem. They picked up a seat. And unfortunately, now cities like Austin, urban areas, are going to be where they're going to have to reapportion these seats, and you're going to have to move Democrats around, and it may end up meaning that a Democrat picks up a seat. And you're never going to have that heads up where, like, well, Texas maybe, where you actually might have Democrats pick up Republican seats. But the other thing, the other story, which we didn't put on the agenda, but like just a side note there, in Florida picked up a seat, and then also restricted voting access for the people who would traditionally vote Republican, which was not smart on their part.
They just passed a bill that was similar to the Georgia voting bill, that included, tightening up on mail-in voting and everything like that. And then as soon as it was done, went, oh shit.
Oh no.
The old crotchety Republicans were the only ones who were voting by mail up until this past election.
Yes.
When for some reason people were scared to go to the polling places to vote in person.
Wait.
So I was like,
COVID's still going to be a problem in 2022, right? Oh shit. What have we done? The only time the state of Florida fights its own bill against it. No, we'd like to keep this bill, please. Yes, let's keep it.
At the end of the day, if your hope is that less people vote so that you can stay in, you're already sort of conceding defeat in a way. Like, this hasn't been about trying to bring more people into the party. It's been about, let's keep the ones that we like right now and just fuck everyone else, basically.
Keep the total number of voters low, keep everybody we like in our party, and that means we keep a percentage, right? So if I can make the pie smaller but keep my cut of it, then I have more pie than you do eventually. And again, Mitch played the long game. The Republicans played the long game. Get the state houses, so they're going to be redistricting, and keep control at a local level, and just hope that you can get those laws in effect. And I jokingly say COVID's going to be a problem in 2022, but at this rate, COVID may be a problem in 2022. So who's to say that the restrictive voting laws by mail aren't a problem?
Yeah, well, we'll find out. I mean,
I will say, the Democrats who may have been afraid to vote in 2020 will not be afraid to vote in 2022. If LA is any example, I went on a lovely walking tour of West Hollywood, which is possibly the most liberal place in America. Maybe it starts with a C in San Francisco. Not the
Castro?
Castro. I almost said the cartel. The Castro. Those are two very different things. The Castro in San Francisco, West Hollywood, battling it out for the most liberal square footage in America. And the number of people stumbling around drunk, fresh out of brunch, with no masks, unparalleled. And I think that the reason is because this week, the CDC also released new guidelines on vaccinated people and what they can and can't do. And the graph that you see beside me is the graph that the CDC released. And you'll note that at the top of the right-hand side of that graph, the right-hand side is people who have been inoculated. Doesn't say have had both vaccinations.
It says fully vaccinated people.
Does that say fully vaccinated equals 2 doses and 2 weeks after the second dose?
No, but I think most people assume that that's what fully vaccinated.
Corey, you and I have a lot more different levels of faith in the American people.
Yeah.
And clearly the CDC has your level of faith, and people who put warning labels on things have my level of faith in the American people.
Dude, like the shower cap people, like fits one head.
Yes.
Like you're the fits one head group.
Yes.
And I'm like, there's no way they fuck up a shower cap, right?
The people who put a warning on a bucket that says you can drown in this bucket. Like, this is a 7-ounce bucket. Yes, but if they went face down directly in the bucket, they might drown.
Yeah.
So we better put a fucking warning on it. So yeah, I think that it's confusing. Also because at the top you'll see people. The person doesn't have a mask and it's green. At the bottom, the person does have a mask.
Yeah.
And it's green, which I think people have totally ignored, and they've just said, I can do everything with no mask, it doesn't matter, which is not true. And also,
I mean,
people are dumb.
I mean, more my concern is this isn't anything we didn't already know ahead of time.
Really, it shouldn't be.
I mean, you know, if you lived, I was making the point of like Rob's old hometown there. If he was in Ridgely and he's just walking down the side of a dirt road and there's nobody else around you.
You can just say the road. That's all
the
we
dirt
have
is implied.
Yes.
If he's just walking down this old dirt road, he doesn't need to be wearing a mask because the chances of COVID floating from some farmhouse nearby and getting to him are so astronomically low that it's not even a reasonable thing to consider.
Cows can't get COVID as far as we know, so I'm probably safe.
Right.
Now, but 6 months ago,
the difference between, you know, like Ridgely and Midtown Manhattan is a completely different thing. You know, like just because you're outside and just because the likelihood of you getting COVID are less outside and, you know, you might be vaccinated or, you know, the person that you pass might be vaccinated. But the other part is we also don't know. 40% of people right now in the United States are fully vaccinated, getting up towards like 50%, I think, on some degree of shot so far. You know, these are promising numbers because it is getting better. It's also worrying numbers because it's starting to slow down.
Yep.
But
compare that to where we were 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, where it was like 25 and 40, and now we're at 40 and 50. So,
I mean, if you're asking me, you know, again, I live in a major American city, so it's a little bit different. If I'm going out to get lunch or something like that in the streets of downtown Los Angeles, I'm still wearing a mask. I may, at certain points, transition between a mask that I can pull down and if I see a crowd coming, pull it up kind of thing, as opposed to have the
lock-in
super secure mask that I don't take off under any circumstances. The mask that I had purchased at the beginning of the pandemic is like really good for sealing in every little bit of it. It's not good for like pulling it down over the nose kind of thing. So I just never bothered to do it.
Well, because like a logical person, you said, I will never be taking this off my face. Not like 40% of the American public that's like, you wear it here, right? Like it's supposed to go under your nose. That way you can breathe. Yeah. Yeah, that's where it goes.
I mean, you know, people who... I still see a lot of people wearing masks when I was out and about in the days following the CDC announcement, which was quickly followed by, you know, California lifting the outdoor mask mandate, Los Angeles County doing the same thing. In Maryland, they've lifted the outdoor mask mandate. States across the country are doing all the same thing. It's fine. I don't think we're going to see a huge jump in cases because of it at this point. Given the number of people who are vaccinated and how people who seem to be careful are still remaining careful, and the people who are being more reckless have continued to be more reckless.
And for the vast majority of society, it will not matter. But for the 400 people who died today, and the 400 people who will die tomorrow, and the 400 people that died yesterday, it does make a difference. And you asked me, what are we supposed to do? Earlier, before we started the show, what are we supposed to do? Stay in lockdown? Which is something you asked me months ago.
Yeah.
And I have the same answer. Yes. Keep the mask made. Like, listen, I have said before here, the mask is now going to be likely a part of my life for the rest of my life. Because when I think about what we were doing earlier, going to work sick because I got to work, and the people next to me just sneezing and coughing and wiping their faces and then shaking my hand. Like, ugh. And I was getting on a scooter with no gloves and then going about the rest of my day eating snacks with those same hands that got washed in the bathroom at 4 hours after I arrived at work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the big part of here is that you need to I'm not saying that I think that it will. I'm just saying that for me, it was never a big thing to when people are just like, make sure you wash your hands every hour or two. I'm just like, okay. That's basically what I was doing before.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a big, huge change in my life. The only thing that changed is I would walk in the house and I'd say, I should wash my hands before I do anything else.
Yes.
That's not necessarily the first thing I thought of when I walked in the door before.
But before I touch anything.
Yeah.
Come in, turn on the TV, get around or whatever. Now it's like, nope.
Start to make a drink, then wash my hand. Like,
Yeah.
eventually when I get to it.
Nope. First thing I do now, wash hands. I do the hand sanitizer, but sanitizer before I touch anything in my apartment. And I've even started doing the shoes off at the door. So, like, shoes off, hand sanitizer, hit the whole thing. So the 4 feet around my front door are the decontamination zone. And then I can move into the rest of my apartment.
It's where you go for the spray, the
Yes.
full body spray.
I wish I had one of those. If Inez has a house where it's $4 million, but it's got a decontamination room, mudroom. We call this the mudroom, but really it's a full Section 5 decontamination room. I'm like, I want that bedroom. That's my bedroom. How much? The guys played this game where they watch videos of cars and houses and things that they'll never be able to afford, and then pick things like bedrooms.
Yeah.
12-bedroom house. That's my bedroom in a house we'll never afford and never even step into. So
It's funny. Inez was featured in a Wall Street Journal video just over the weekend. And they were talking about how popular these videos have gotten, like him and a couple other channels like his.
yeah.
And like one of the real estate agents was just like, I don't think many people who watch the video are actually possibly able to buy the house. And I'm just like, you think?
Yeah.
The $24 million house in the hills, you don't think we're...
You know what I think
So
will
it's
be
like, well, I got to move some shit around, but I guess we can make an offer.
I have a feeling the most popular video that he'll ever be in is the one. Let me set the scene for you. It's him and it's me. And there's a guillotine.
I don't like
it.
it.
Big flag.
He's making...
Big red flag.
He's doing
flying
him-
in the background. Just imagine.
It's not his-
Imagine the views.
He's not responsible for that. Come on. Go and grab your Stalinade and just butt out of this conversation.
Let's talk about India instead of.
Well, real quick, let's finish up with America here and the herd immunity. So scientists imagine that we're going to need somewhere between 70 and 90% to reach herd immunity in the United States.
And of all citizens.
Yeah. And kids can't get vaccinated right now, so that's already eating into that said 70 to 90%. We could possibly reach some level of not herd immunity, but a significant decrease in the amount of cases that we see and the amount of deaths that we see just with more people getting vaccinated. Maybe anything over 50% would see significant gains in that regard. But a lot of people are showing hesitancy to get the vaccine. And in some places, it is the appointments are wide open and nobody's taking them.
Yep.
Mostly in like the American South.
And Midwest.
Yeah. And I mean, California, I was looking at things that, like LA County, 11% of people said they might not get the vaccine, which is ideal for us being able to hit herd immunity. San Francisco County was like 9% or something like that.
But
like
in
these
LA,
places are not going to be the concerns. It's going to be
drive 40 minutes south.
Oh
From
yeah,
LA
I
to
get
Orange
it.
County, and now it's like 60% are definitely going to get it. 20% maybe. 20% definitely not going to get it.
Yeah.
Funny. Wait, if I was to break that down into a voting block, how would the voting blocks break down?
I imagine how the voting would break
so
down.
what you could assume is that 90% of voters in LA County, Democrats. And if I was to go down to Orange County, I would find 60% Democrats, 20% Independents, 20% Republicans. So, this is what Corey was making mention of. And tell me your friends know how to buy you a gift without telling me your friends know how to buy you a gift. Oh, is I on the wrong side? Here, there we go. It's Stalinade, the real red soda. And I honestly don't even want to drink this. I kind of just want to keep it.
I mean, you can. I don't even know how good it is. So
It's got pure cane sugar in it, which means it's probably delicious. But it's so amazing. Maybe I will drink it and refill it with water with red food coloring in it, and then just reseal it so that it has the effect, but I also get to drink the liquid inside.
Just like a socialist.
Well, I was going to suggest that I was going to share
Times
it.
like this, I wish that Roberto had a mic.
I was going to
catch that laugh.
Like a true communist, I was going to say, let's split it and share it. But because it is Stalinade, I think I will drink the whole thing and send both of you to the gulag. So I'm not a tanky, if anybody thought that was the case. No.
But please, if you're listening to the sound of my voice,
Go get a vaccine.
go get the vaccine. Assuming that, you are capable of doing it and it won't. You haven't been specifically told because of a medical condition not to get it or something like that.
Yes.
Please go get it. I remember just back at the very beginning of the pandemic, a year ago at this point, where I was
Simpler times.
I was saying to people, I have faith in the medical community, scientific community, to be able to come up with a vaccine, to be able to get us past this point. And there will be a day on the other side where the sun will be shining and we'll all be happy. When I would say this to people, whether they were on the right side of the aisle, the left side of the aisle, they all agreed. I have nothing but faith in the medical community to do this. I'm going to get the vaccine when it's time. And then all of a sudden the vaccine becomes available and it becomes, well, I don't know exactly how this thing was made and I don't want to mess with it. I mean, we're at the point now where enough people have gotten vaccinated and, it's not like people are just dying left and right from vaccine side effects.
Yeah.
We will not know the long-term side effects, but we weren't going to know the long-term side effects if we wanted to have a vaccine that was going to take care of the virus right away. So,
also, I know the long-term side effects of getting COVID. For somebody with pre-existing conditions, several of them, death. So it's pretty long-term, probably pretty long-term consequences.
No coming back from that one.
Yeah. And I also have faith in science. But let me tell you, I just want to put this forward one last time. I also have faith in Mother Nature, that she can mutate this virus with a 97% survival rate and turn it into one with a 95% kill rate. Come on, baby. You got this. Come on.
Well,
bring that 12 monkeys life around. Let's do this.
This might be the case if the crisis in India gets any worse than it currently is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're saying that, but the Western world is ignoring it completely.
Yeah. Just don't travel here. That's all.
Basically, yeah. Guys, we're not going to stop over in India on our trip. So, Bangladesh, everybody. Yeah. Great human rights violations. It's going to be super fun. Don't say anything. They'll send you to the gulag. But yeah, literally, I watched a story this morning about a group of nurses who, one by one, just watched 84 patients die. Not for anything other than the need of oxygen. And I asked myself, it must be unbelievably difficult to get oxygen there. And then I found out that, not that there's an embargo, but essentially that Western Europe and the United States and their spheres of influence basically said, just in case we have another wave, we need to keep all our oxygen. So don't export any oxygen. And also, these vaccines that could help save life, if they can't pay for them, they don't get them. And we will completely honor your intellectual property. The company that made a vaccine on the money that we gave you.
Yeah.
So now 4,000 people are dying a day. They are literally turning the parking lots of hospitals. For those of you who may not know as much about Hindu culture, they do pyres for their funerals. So like you build a pile of sticks. That sounds very crude, but you build a funeral pyre, which is just a stack of wood. You put the person on top, wrapped in ceremonial garb, and then you burn it. And then what usually they do is they collect the ashes and then go put them in the Ganges. There's this spot on the shore of the Ganges that is meant for that. And then surprisingly, people found that when they washed their clothes just downriver from that, their clothes got super clean. Because if you burn human flesh, it turns into soap and wash the clothes. That's a Fight Club fact for you. But so instead of being able to like ceremoniously bury their dead, now the parking lot of the hospital, empty from cars because no visitors are allowed, have just been turned into like, all right, so everybody from the AM deaths, we're having our funeral pyres in parking lot 1. PM deaths, that'll be the funeral pyres in parking lot 2. And just basically rotating back and forth, letting families have their last moments with their family members amongst,
other people who have died.
100 people. And nurses literally just were standing there doing everything that they could, but essentially watching people die. And then the story was essentially the head nurse would come over after the person coded and be like, okay, number 56. And the nurse would go over there and just pump and pump and pump and pump and pump until that person coded. And then it's like, all right, 87. And they're just working their way down the list of serious people because there was no oxygen to give them. So with COVID, it's an upper respiratory infection. That's a problem. You can't breathe.
Yeah.
And people are dying for want of oxygen, which the West has but isn't sending, and vaccines, which the West has and isn't sending.
Now, I will say this, not to make it seem like it's their own fault here, but the politicalization of COVID in India was really high.
Yes. Trump levels, you might say.
Yeah, I mean, they just had an election not too long ago, and the maskless rallies were a big part of the I can't remember what Modi's political party is, but his party was largely anti-mask.
Yes.
And having these large gatherings and stuff like that.
I think we should just use Trumper to describe those people in general. But then I worry about that because I think about like how Hitler's rise to power in Germany was basically inspiration for fascism all over the world, saying like, hey, they got a cool hand gesture. You want to do that? We can do that.
I'd prefer not to promote Trump as a way of thinking about your political philosophy because
I would like to have my nephew go die on a beach in Europe. So I feel like that is absolutely the thing we should do. Why not? Yeah. That's a deep World War II point, everybody.
We need to I think what needs to be clear is that there are easy ways to just protect yourself on a baseline level, and that was not happening in India, and it has allowed the virus to just run rampant.
Yep.
It took a lot long for a while there. People in India thought, "Oh, we've kind of avoided this," despite being in Asia, right near where it all started.
What you might call the LA thought process of like, look at New York, we're doing fine,
Yeah.
and then a few weeks later,
Or
decimation.
Florida. You remember when everyone
Florida.
was saying that, like, oh, Florida doesn't have any restrictions and they're not having any cases. And then I think DeSantis had like a press conference in a parking lot where he was just like, where are the cases? I thought they were coming. I thought our state was going to be overrun. And then like a week later, like fucking locusts.
Still governor. Still governor. Yeah.
I know that it's really I was just watching a video not too long ago about the different types of ways that vaccines are being spread out.
Yeah.
And like companies or richer countries that are able to basically pay for the research that allowed for the vaccines and basically pre-purchase the vaccines are in a much better place right now.
Yep.
United States with their 40% vaccinations and stuff like that, full vaccinations. Poorer countries are going to be further down the line. There are things that programs out there to try and get vaccines to poorer countries, but it's just not. It's gonna take longer to get to them because of the way that the system has been.
Keep in mind, 2 weeks ago, India was pacing us on vaccines.
Yeah.
Like, per capita, they had met our rate. They just have 1 billion people. And
Right.
So their 25% was our entire adult population.
Yeah.
The problem was they quickly had to shift from let's vaccinate everybody to, oh shit, everybody's dying. And then it's like, we'd love to put needles in arms, but we need every doctor in the ICU right now. So it's difficult to do that. Also, there's a lack of availability. So it's like, do we have a doctor out in this province waiting for vaccine to become available, or do we send him to an urban center to deal with patients that are dying? Like,
Yeah.
Yes, it would be great, but the infections out there are low. The infections here are high. Let's deal with this. And it's the law of diminishing returns in a way where like you just in your head you're saying we got to keep vaccinating, but it's hard to have the political fallout of, well, why is this doctor out here not doing shit? Well, he's vaccinating like 200 people a day. Yeah, but 4,000 dead in the country. You don't understand that if he's fighting the virus and not giving the vaccine, we're going to have 4,000 dead every day for the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be somebody vaccinated.
Yes. But they gave into the pressure, and now there's very few people. Now everybody's focused on the virus, like fighting the sick people. Not fighting sick people, but fighting with the
fighting
sick people.
the disease.
Yeah. And
fighting the virus.
It's problematic, to say the least. It could have been helped a lot by more vaccines being made available, which were blocked because India had obligations to give those to people, to give those to other countries, and they met them. And now they didn't have enough for themselves. And they, again, not that there are richer or poorer countries, but there's certainly countries that debt spend their way into $9 trillion debt and are willing to throw $400 million? Yeah, $400 million on vaccines that may not work. 3 vaccines that all of them may not have worked.
Yeah.
And we did that.
Yeah.
And what did we get? We got our doses, yes. Did not buy anything for the world, though. And, I posted something this week.
The United States certainly is spending money to try and get other places in the world vaccinated.
We have exported exactly 0 doses of vaccine.
Right. We personally have exported 0. But
Yes.
I'm saying that we have been donating large sums of money in an effort to get a global vaccination effort underway.
Sure.
It's not the same thing. The same thing as sending doses directly, but I'm saying this is, we are also covering the bill more than any other country in the world to help try and get the rest of the world vaccinated.
Sure. My only point is, I posted something earlier this week that said that I learned a new fact, that for the first 850,000 years of human existence, warfare.
Whoa. Is that when Adam and Eve were?
Sorry, I forgot I was dealing with a Catholic. Okay, so, when Adam rode the dinosaur out of the Garden of Eden. No, but so Upper Paleolithic and beyond, no warfare. Essentially, if you were a Paleolithic man and I was a Paleolithic man and we were with our different bands and we stumbled upon each other, which would have been rare, but let's say we did that, we would have come together and rejoiced that we'd found other humans and worked together briefly before we went on our separate ways.
Yeah.
Then we developed agrarian societies where we settled, and then the idea of what's mine is mine entered the fray. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, the idea of capitalism, where we now exchange currency for goods and services. And that is where warfare broke out. And so I posted capitalism and our warfare, another gift of capitalism. And now we're looking at 4,000 dead every day in India, which, by the way, folks, is yet another gift of capitalism. Because the only reason that India can't make a very cheap generic version of the vaccine is because everyone in the West has said, we will sue all of these companies into non-existence. And after COVID's over, those companies need to make malaria drugs and all sorts of other drugs.
Again, I understand why capitalism is easy to blame in that situation, but if I was the maker of a COVID vaccine, I would not want people to try and make COVID vaccines that were based off of what I was doing, but not exactly what I was doing, because then there's a chance that it doesn't work or it doesn't do what it's supposed to, or they rush it through and don't put the same kind of stresses and checks on it that
I forgot. I was dealing with a guy who doesn't use the Target brand. He uses the twice as expensive brand that's right next to it because I don't trust the Target brand. I want Coke, not Dr. Cola. All right.
I mean, if the choice was I'm thirsty, I need something to drink, and Dr. Cola is there. And
first of all, I have been with you when they said, is Pepsi okay? And you went without a drink.
Yes.
So don't tell me that I will go with Dr. Cola if I'm thirsty.
No, I'm saying if it's a non-life or death situation.
I think I've seen you leave a restaurant that only served Pepsi. I'm pretty sure I've seen that happen before.
Took a stand on moral grounds, all right? On moral grounds.
All right. Yeah, sure.
My point being is that I don't mind fucking around with an off-brand Coke every once in a while. If I'm thirsty and I'm trying to...
It's not a Pepsi?
Do I need to come up with a new example so we can move past this?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I won't necessarily buy the Arrowhead water. I will buy a lesser water if I'm thirsty because water is water to me.
Is Arrowhead good water? I think it tastes like
No,
toilet
it's
water to
terrible.
me.
But
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's for whatever reason, California really likes their Arrowhead water. I never understood it.
Dasani. You'll step down from Dasani to Arrowhead.
Yeah, I'll slum it with some Arrowhead if I need to. If I'm thirsty enough, I'll do that. But if it was a life or death thing, like I wouldn't trust the guy who's trying to sell me a $12 seatbelt, if you know what I mean. Like I'm not gonna fuck around with the not yet medically cleared diabetes medicine or something like that. Like.
See, I think that you would.
No,
because I know that I would. So if the choice was no insulin or knockoff insulin that may or may not work, worst case scenario, no insulin, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Knockoff insulin doesn't work, I'm also dead. But if the knockoff insulin does work, I have a chance of living.
Right.
So right now, if I'm in India, I have a very high chance of dying. You could give me a vaccine that may not work, and I could die.
Right, but I'm saying, if you take the knockoff insulin and die,
yeah,
then the person who, the corporate owner of the insulin that had its recipe stolen to make the knockoff insulin, and the knockoff insulin people didn't do something that was very important and is killing people indiscriminately because of it, I would be upset as the corporate owner of the insulin because you are now putting my product in a bad light because there are people dying based off of the cheap knockoff version.
Maybe if you didn't charge $780 a month, I wouldn't have to go for the knockoff.
Again, that's a separate conversation. I'm just talking about you wouldn't want somebody to sell Rob Cheek's burgers next to your Rob Cheek burger place and sell rotted meat because it looks bad upon your business, which is very similar right next to it,
I mean, listen, if it doesn't have my face on the wrapper, it's not a Rob Cheek burger. Trust and believe. Also, I spit in every single burger. So if you don't get that special Rob spit taste, it ain't
Moving
a real Rob
on.
burger. So we only had one other thing to talk about this week, and this is giving Roberto a chance to cue it up because it's sports ball. There we go. Hey.
Sports ball.
So, and there was only really one bit of sports. One other thing that's not on the list. Orioles, even if we're not going to be good, can we be spoilers all season? Because that's really fun.
I like beating the Yankees. I like beating the A's. This has been a fun week for the O's.
But okay, meme of the week, which I haven't gotten to mention yet this week, is two frames. Randy Orton leaning over the Undertaker. Undertaker has the Orioles symbol on him. And then there's Yankees and somebody else up
A's.
On the A's. And then, no, because it
was the A's 15-game win streak or something.
A's 15-game win streak is Randy Orton leaning over. And then frame 2, eyes open, grabbing him by the throat. You thought we were dead, son. But we're going to knock that game streak down.
So the NFL draft happened.
That was the other story.
Yeah. And, again, looks like a great draft from the Ravens. It looks like we're going to have a lot of exceptional players coming in and joining our team.
Speaking of paying an exorbitant amount for a house, the Ravens did that in the NFL draft, or will do that based on the NFL draft. I don't know if you saw the new linemen, but basically, I got couches that are smaller. I got a couch in my apartment that's smaller than the linemen that they drafted.
Ben Cleveland is a large man. There was you see these offensive linemen, and
but
they're
always date women who are like 4'10".
They're always in these pads, and you just assume that like
there's a lot of pad.
You remember that there was like it was like a Page 6 story about Eli Manning at the beach or something like that, yeah. And they showed him just without his shirt on, just like on the beach, and he looked like he had a dad bod going on. It was just like sort of like he had little bitch tits happening. Not that I should. I have way bigger bitch tits than Eli Manning does, but he definitely had a little some going on there.
But also very white, but people were the shoulders very narrow.
People were looking at it and going like, this is a professional athlete?
Yeah.
Ben Cleveland. Take a look at the picture. That's a professional athlete. That is a large fucking man right there.
And I saw the numbers before I saw the picture, and I'm like 6'6". It's like 300.
Yeah.
Over 300. And I'm picturing in my head because
big fat guy.
Because I can't do that math. I'm picturing like I don't know, just a guy with a gut. And then I go
like
to the picture.
Tony Saragusa type.
Tony Saragusa, yes. And then I scroll down and I see the picture and I'm like, Jesus Christ. This is the guy that like you accidentally pick up the real chair, not the breakaway chair, and you hit him with it and you're like, oh shit, but it actually breaks. And you're like, what the fuck?
He basically looks like the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
I was trying to think of the guy's name, the Mountain. He is the Mountain from Game of Thrones. And the Mountain is an athlete. He's like one of those like extreme lifters. He's
like a power lifter or something. Yeah.
This guy does like a 5-second 40. Like he's gonna get up off the line and guard someone and then go downfield. Like
I always like the Sports Night line though of any play designed to have an offensive lineman run 40 yards is probably ill-advised.
Yeah. Also, that 40 yards is no pads. He gets nobody in front of him.
In shorts.
He's doing like the track positioning to get a start, which I also I think that for track runners, it's to get speed. For a lineman, it's literally just like get going and then just momentum's going to carry you that way. You're falling the entire 40 yards, but once you get the momentum moving that way, you'll be all right.
Just don't turn into a big ball like Indiana Jones or something.
You see him trip and he just rolls the rest of the... Still 6 flat. Crazy how fast he did that. Took out a family of 4 on the other side of the track. Unfortunate, but...
Now, listen, I am not going to speak to how good any of these players are that the Ravens drafted because, honest to God, I have no clue. I watch the draft. I don't watch college football, so I watch the draft and I see the highlights and I say things like, oh, this guy looks really good. And then you hear what the announcers say, like the draft experts, and they're always just like, with the 6th round selection, the Ravens select some fullback out of Michigan. And then you're like, all right. Usually 6th round means somebody who's not going to be on the team probably.
Tom Brady was a 6th rounder though?
But from time to time, there's exceptions to that rule, but usually 6th round pick are not valuable members of your team.
They'll be moving furniture in a couple of years.
Yeah. But, you're watching 6th round draft highlights and they're just like, this fullback could really revolutionize Baltimore's offense. And I'm just like, let's fucking go. Like, I get so excited about the guys who like clearly will not be a part of the team going forward, but I'm still like super excited because how did this guy fall so far? How did he not go in the 1st round? It'd be so great.
I'm seeing our new lineman. I say he's going to be moving couches in a couple of years, and that dude is a couch. And I'm seeing him like working for a moving company. He just picks your couch up with one arm over his shoulder. Like, where'd you want it? Front room. Got it. Like, didn't you used to play football? Yeah, I played football for a bit. Like, what happened? No, I don't want to talk about it. Like, all right, man. That's fine. Yeah.
I was too good.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Actually, I say that, but really, what the reality is, okay, man, it's cool. We don't have to talk about that at all. It's fine. Even the 6'6" is not that much taller than me. I mean, you guys, yes, you guys would be 100% looking up to him, but for me, we're like on par. So
I mean, listen, there's I think if I'm at 5'9", so when I see somebody who's 6'3", I'm usually like, that's a pretty tall person. So I imagine for you, a little bit more than 5'9", you would have the same sort of experience when you look at somebody who's 6'4", 6'5".
See, your description of 3 inches as a little bit more seems like a drunk bar girl's descriptions of 3 inches. I don't know that that's accurate.
Rob is so tied to his 6 foot, like it
is.
If it's not true, it's just everything about his life is wrong.
Yeah, how tall are you? Yeah, there's no way he's 5'9". Nah, he made at one point have been 5'9", but
I haven't been scale. I haven't been what's the proper word I'm looking for there?
Well, all I know is
I haven't been measured since then. I was going to say I haven't been lengthened since then. But that's not right.
What are you, an infant? My dad was 5'10". He is now currently 5'6" because time is a bitch. And you're like,
Gravity always wins.
listen, when I was in college, I was 5'9". That's totally fine. You're 40. You're 40. We're not in college. Do a new measurement. Let's see what this height is.
All right, one of these days I'll
You go to the doctor finally and then get a measurement.
I'll go to the local 7-Eleven and see how I stack up.
See, that's going to be the best thing. Keep saying 5'9", 5'9", 5'9". So then when they put out the APB for a guy who's between 5'4" and 5'7", they clearly not me, looks homeless, might be. Couldn't be me.
But 5'4", 5'7", definitely
I'm
not.
5'9". I don't know.
Yeah. The one last thing, just as a tip of the cap to GM Eric DaCosta of the Ravens, people had asked him prior to the draft, like, so you're going to draft a wide receiver in the first round? You have to, right? Because like Lamar needs some weapons here, and DaCosta like got really upset, and he's just like, we have talented guys already here, and I don't think you need to go looking for new pieces because we have a talented room, and you don't need to worry about it. And then everyone's just like, oh, maybe he's not drafting a wide receiver. And then he drafts a wide receiver. And then explains in the post-draft press conference, he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you guys what I'm going to do. Why do you think you're going to come up to me and say, like, you drafted a wide receiver? And I'm like, sure am. Here's my list of top flight picks. It's just not going to happen.
By the way,
and
we got Lamar by making a late first-round trade that got us a second first-round pick and picking up a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
And did anybody see that coming? No. Even the guys who were doing the draft were like, the Ravens have made a trade
to come back into the first round. Yeah.
Second pick in the first round. And so the Ravens are coming up then. And if I remember correctly, there was like no time on the clock, meaning the clock barely started because it like, oh, there's a trade. We pause the clock. And then immediately up to the podium.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson from Ole Miss?
Louisville.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson, Louisville. And you knew what you were doing the whole time. Like that was well planned out. But again, he didn't go up in the pre-trial. The pre-draft.
He didn't do voir dire and explain how he was going to draft Lamar Jackson.
He didn't go to the press conference beforehand and be like, so guys, you're going to want to watch real closely because this is the plan. We're going to get to about 20 picks in. I want to make a trade to get us yet another first-round pick. And there's this quarterback we really got our eye on out of Louisville. We're going to pick him up. And there's going to be 6 people drafted, 6 quarterbacks drafted before him, and he is going to outperform all of them. Just wait.
I am going to try and trade in late in the first round and hope that nobody takes advantage of me for saying I'm going to do it.
Yeah. We really could use another pick in that round. So I'm going to try and make some moves and see what happens. I hope nobody takes advantage of me for
hope nobody's listening to this press conference.
Wait.
Seem to be laying all my plans out to bear.
Where are you from? WBL? Nobody's watching that. Okay, so we're good. Baltimore Sun? Okay, yeah.
ESPN? Fuck. God damn.
Wait. The Ocho. All right, we're okay. You're on between dodgeball highlights. I think I'm fine.
Oh, man. I still love the I still think about that guy picking up the 7-10 split from time to time. That video. The Ginger Assassin.
By the way, I don't know if people have seen that or not, but the closest thing to kickball cover or dodgeball coverage on from the movie is the announcer announcing that 7-10 split pickup, where it's just like, this could not be any like. It's great, and if you have a regional bowling night that you go to and you see a guy pick up a 7-10, you're like, that is crazy. The way the announcer like loses his mind, and it's not been done on TV. I get all of it, but still,
it's legitimately difficult. I mean, like even when it's not televised, it's legitimately difficult. It's one of the most difficult things in sports.
And you know what? It's legitimately difficult for a group of upstarts from a small gym to win the national dodgeball championships against a national branded gym that has all the funding in the world and led by a guy who is a well-known figure. But
you already know my fitness consigliere, Michelle.
Do you believe in unlikelihoods? I mean, I get it. I feel like watching that was a lot like me watching a soccer game where it might have been the most amazing move ever. But what I saw was a guy like do a slight kickflip over his head. It dropped behind the goalie, he tapped it in, and the guy's like, lose it. Goal! I'm like, really?
It's because it came out of nowhere. It's exciting. That's why That's why they get so animated.
Cool.
Again, I don't think you know this, but I watched a solid 20-25 minutes worth of explainers to what European football was all about.
Yes.
And now I know everything there is to know. So go ahead, test me. Ask me any question. Who won the Premier League? No clue.
I just look at bowling the same way I look at soccer. If it's a sport that I could currently play, it's not that impressive.
Oh, bro, something tells me we're about to make a video about us playing soccer, and you're going to regret your decision.
Wait. Is that video going to end with you ripping off your shirt to have a sports bra underneath and sliding on your knees? Because I'm game. Wait, what? You're asking? Yes, that video does exist. And you know where you can find that video? This was my ability for Roberto to queue up the thing, and he's certainly not going to. Are you ready? theanthem.com.
Oh, the Anthem on YouTube?
Oh man, listen! I said everything except he just stumbled. If it's not the whole thing, it's like a script.
You know what? If it's not the script, it does throw me. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
So
tell you.
all right. You know where you could find that video, Corey?
OhTheAnthem.com. Corey to theanthem.com. Oh, the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/Corey Baker Film, and at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Got the video with Broadway theaters coming out this week, so check that out probably on Thursday. Roberto says no.
Bi-monthly posts. I don't know. People are going to get
better than non-monthly, so which is what it had. So enjoy. I think this one's going to be a little bit different from things I've done before. So I'm trying out new things. I want to see what people like and what gains attention and traffic. So let's see what's up.
And I will say, no jokes. There's a video of Corey on OhTheAnthem.com ripping off his shirt with his
doing a Brandy Chastain.
Yes, sliding on his knees. It's pretty amazing. Everyone should go check that out. I'm gonna go find it just so I can find the link. And
we will have to go out to a field and just run around for 90 straight minutes, and we'll see how much you enjoy your life then. How easy it is to play soccer once you're.
How about this? If you pay me several $1 million, and all I have to do is work with your professional chefs and your professional training crew and play a game for 90 minutes in a row, I can do that. Just like bowling.
See, but there's all the work that takes to get to that point. Like for instance, Lionel Messi, considered by many to be one of the best soccer players in the world, didn't just wake up one day and get signed to multi-million-dollar contracts.
Right.
He worked his way up from junior leagues and lesser leagues where they didn't have those kind of accommodations, and now he's a big, huge superstar who gets paid a lot of money.
And I'm pretty sure I saw a 9-year-old from Nigeria who had played on nothing but dirt fields with like a goat skin ball truck Lionel Messier and score a goal. So
Messier.
What I'm saying is, if you can get trucked by a guy who is 9 years old from Nigeria and never played on real grass, yeah, probably I could play that sport.
I just like watching Roberto shake his head at everything you say.
Wait, and what's the guy from South America who's like the most famous soccer player in the world? Ronaldo?
Ronaldinho?
Yeah, it's
well,
like
I mean, there was Ronaldo back in the day.
McDaldo, something like that. Ronaldo McDaldo, is that what it is? No, that's a restaurant.
Ronaldo used to be a soccer player for Brazil.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just trying to get an eye roll.
He was the best soccer player when I was in high school.
Yes.
Because that's why I decided to wear number 9 for the soccer team. My 5 was unavailable.
I played soccer because I blew my knee out playing a real sport, so I had to go play a different sport where it wasn't as physically taxing. So
Go
I played goalie.
Go on with your shit.
But so you can find me at Robert and Cheek and all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertandcheek.com. You can find links to all the stuff that I do. Make sure you find Roberto, producer Roberto, at RTOAZN on all your social networks. Not that it matters, because the only thing he posts is stuff that's unrelated to the stuff he's doing. I sent him a gift today with a really reaction to his first story update on Instagram in months, and it was something else that he found on Instagram. Now, if you're like me and you post every single day, it's fine to post those things, but to not post anything for months and then post that, I don't understand. But you can find him on there.
Next week, producer Brooks will be joining us from the assault on Roberto's character that's happened.
Hopefully, that will be because...
I'm thankful for what you do for us, Roberto.
And hopefully producer Brooks will have to take over because producer Roberto will be shooting his Star Wars themed TikTok. And we'll have that to talk about the week after. But RTO, AZ, and all social networks. And, of course, we are getting back to normal in LA. So if you are shooting something and you need a very talented actor who can put up with a lot of abuse, Arizona Acting, ARRIZONACTING @gmail.com. He's available for basically, well, no, because you got like a lot of stuff going on, actually. So
just as long as it keeps him in good standing with the union, he'll consider it.
And see? True communist. I mean, not. I mean, he's wants to be in the union. And does that get you on a list in Hollywood still, being a communist? I don't know. I can't say anymore. So
we'll find out, I guess.
Hire him. He needs a job. Or is it Yob? I don't know. It might have a soft J. Can't tell.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
I think we've done something. I don't know if it's good.
Holding up its Stalinade.
But as always, you're listening to the The Anthem podcast, part of the The Anthem digital network. For Corey and Roberto and producer Brooks, who's once again sleeping on the job, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Brooks, are you okay over there? Sleeping.